Camera, action.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I started kind of doing the same. It's been going really well. I'm very grateful to connect with awesome people like yourself.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, man. Well, it's good to see you, first of all. For those of us that don't know who you are, please introduce yourself and just kind of tell us where you grew up.
Absolutely. I grew up, I was born and raised here in Salinas, California, good old Salinas, California. I always said I had the privilege to be born here because it's such a great little city, right?
Hmm.
Um, just some fun facts, 20% of the world's lettuce is from here. So it's kind of crazy, right? To think about
Right.
that number. And from a Mexican family, my parents are from Guadalajara, close to Chapala, Jalisco. And I grew up with a sister, an older sister, and it was just both of us for a long time before my little brother, my little sister came along.
Oh, cool.
And, and so it was, pretty typical Mexican family. Started playing soccer. I guess if you look at me, the first 26 years of my life have been defined by soccer, technically. I started playing when I was 3 years old and played up until, I played at Alisal High School, played at Hartnell College, played at San Jose State, and played professional for 3 years, second division here in the United States in what is called the United Nations. Now it's called the USL Championship League. So it's the
Okay,
second
cool.
division of the MLS. And now I do freelance videography and photography for a solar company that my friend owns. And that's pretty much what I'm doing right now.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, what year were you at LSL?
I was there from 2007 to 2011.
Okay, so that was a little bit after, but there was a team, or you guys too, that era where you guys were nationally ranked. Basically, Watsonville and Alisal were two of the best teams in the country in the
Yeah.
better part from about like 2004 to 2012 or whenever it was. Those
Yeah.
teams were pretty solid. So talk about just being on a or when did you know that maybe you were on a little bit of a different level than some of the other players that you played against?
It's funny, man, because when I first started playing, literally, my very first game, we played what is now a Hartnell parking sure now. And when we were
Hmm.
playing there, I remember
Yep,
my
I
first.
remember.
Yeah. So now I remember I have some memories of that, and I remember always being late, right? Typical Mexican, always being late to every single game. So I would get there and I wouldn't even check in with the coach. I would see my team. We were wearing these phosphorescent purple jerseys. So I was like, that's my team. So I would just run in there and start kicking the ball around.
It's
And I
awesome.
kid you not, as soon as like we scored, they were like, oh, Enrique's here. And it happened every single time because we were late for every single game. And I think from that point forward, my dad realized like, oh damn, like he's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I say it's funny because so I had a period where I was really good, from literally since I started playing until like I would say around 12 or 13 years old. And then all of a sudden, I kind of hit a wall to where I lost my confidence because I started playing with Santa Cruz Breakers Academy.
Hmm.
And then there was a lot of really good players there. So now I was really, really competing for a spot, right? And it became really difficult just mentally. And I told my dad, listen, I don't want to play anymore because I wasn't good enough. I thought I wasn't good enough and I was just scared, right? I thought that I wasn't good enough. And so I found every excuse to not play anymore. And my dad was like, no vas a dejar de jugar, and like you're not going to stop playing
Yeah.
just because you don't feel like playing. Um, and so that happened. And then thankfully, because of that, I kept on playing and I got to Alisal High School. And it was strange how, that little shift um, just allowed me to basically different mindset. I got to high school and I was like, all right, I'm going to be the first freshman or whatever to play varsity, all my 4 years. And that it was kind of like a stupid thing in a way, but it was kind of like, it was really what motivated me for some reason, because
Mm.
I didn't know anyone else at the time that had done that before,
Yeah,
right?
that was hard to do on those teams.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, especially at Alisal, right? Um, so I said, all right, I'm gonna do this. And I remember the first tryout with old coach that was there, Triyin was his name. He was a cop, and I remember they pulled me aside and they were like, "Damn, like you're pretty good. How old are you?" I was like, "I'm a freshman." And I could see like they looked at each other and they were like, "Oh, damn!" Like, and at that time it was kind of like strange because they were like, "Oh, we don't want to bring on a freshman,"
Of
type of thing.
course,
It's
of
always
course.
like now it's a little bit integrated where if there's a really good freshman, they'll bring them on the team, right? Varsity, no questions asked. And so that happened, and I managed to play some games in varsity my first year. I didn't play very much, of course, because I was competing with against juniors and seniors, and I was just a kid,
Hmm.
right? And
How
then,
tall were you back then?
dude, I grew. I was so short. Like people don't believe that I was literally like
Or
5'8" or
how
so.
tall are you? How tall are you now?
I'm 6'1" now.
Yeah.
So that was another crazy thing that I went from being like 5'9" to like 6'1" out of nowhere. And it kind of threw me off. And if you watch some of my games on YouTube from they recorded some of the CCS games and all that stuff in high school, you can see how like lanky and just kind of like awkward in
Yeah,
a way.
yeah.
Yeah, and it
I
was
know. I,
crazy.
I see old pictures. I was a basketball player, but I see old
Yeah,
pictures and I'm like, man, yeah, it's funny. Your head and your feet and your hands are bigger
right?
than your body, right? It's so funny.
It's
Awesome.
weird.
So
Yeah.
when you started, so how did you make the team freshman year?
Made the team freshman year, played my freshman year. Second year, obviously, now we switch coach. We have different coaches, and then I still struggle a little bit, honestly, in my sophomore year. And then my junior year was when we won CCS for the first time ever for
Oh, nice.
yeah, and that was a big, big year. And all
And
of
what
us,
position were you?
I was center mid. I was a
Okay.
center mid. And so
Which is pretty
after
much like the
that
point
junior
guard in
year,
basketball, right? Pretty much.
yeah, basically,
Quarterback in football, you're kind of controlling everything.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I played a big role. Look, it's funny how just you're so immersed during the time that you don't realize like fully what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played a big role. But I mean that during that time we had such a good team, man. Like our junior year was just destined to be our year. We I mean I remember playing games where we were like down and we're literally thinking like, damn it, here we go once again. And then out of nowhere we come back. And it happened so many times during the season.
A team of destiny.
Yeah, exactly. And the
That's
team,
awesome.
man, like from the starting 11 to the bench, amazing squad. Like the guys, I still talk to most of the guys right now, and it's great to kind of like reminisce and be like, dude, like it was just like you said, it was a destiny team. Because we broke the barrier of just getting to the championship, CCS championship, which is a big deal,
Yeah,
and
it
just
is.
making it to the semifinal or final and never winning it. And so literally, I don't know if you know the story of the guy that broke the 5 mile barrier, the German
Hmm.
guy. So after he did it, like I think it was like 100 people within the next year did it, And
Oh,
to
you mean
me that
the
was
this
so crazy
it's
because
the sub 5 minute mile, yeah. Or
yes,
is it the
correct.
sub 4 minute mile? It might
I
be
think
sub
it's
4 minute mile. It might be
is it
sub
the
four
fourth?
minute.
I
Under
think you're
under
right.
the
It's
mile in
something
under four
crazy.
minutes, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's
That's
ridiculous.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so that's kind of how I felt. And at that time, I knew that story just because my cousin was a runner, and he was about Prefontaine and all those guys, right?
Yep, yep.
So that happened, and after that, I think not the following year we lost in the semifinal, the CCS, and then the year after that, when I left to Hartnell College, I think they won CCS again, and the
Mm,
following year again they won it again. I think they even won it like 3 times in a row, which was crazy, right?
dang.
Um, but yeah, man, that was high school
Yeah,
was
a lot of people don't know that how much LSL has dominated in soccer for the past, I don't know, 15 years now, you would say.
yeah,
And Watsonville High is a pretty good team. I know there's some other good teams. I mean, I went to North County. They've had a pretty good team over the years too, but like nationally ranked, winning CCS, all that good
correct.
stuff. So then when you went on to Hartnell, what was that like? Or
It
what made
was
you go
good.
to Hartnell versus anywhere else?
Yeah, so basically what happened my junior year, I was getting scouted by a few colleges, and then I think by the end of my junior year, I tore my hip flexor,
Mm.
and I just didn't know what it was, and I kept on playing. I played through
You
it.
kind of need that for soccer.
Yeah, just a little bit, right? And
Right.
dude, that happened, and that was by the end of my junior year, going into my senior season, and I just played the season through, and obviously I made it worse. So by that time, San Jose State really wanted me to go to San Jose, but they weren't offering me a full scholarship. So I was like, dude, I don't want to play, because we couldn't pay for it, right? My parents, I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna make my parents pay, like what, $4,000, $3,000 a year, which is not like a whole lot considering now you pay so much more, right?
Right. Right.
But regardless, you get what I'm saying. Like I wasn't gonna make them pay, so that's
Right.
why I went to Harnell and decided to stay a year right there. And sure enough, we went to the final that year, and we lost against
Nice.
a school out of LA.
Okay.
And then the coach said, "All right, now you can come." So I played at San Jose State for 3 years.
Nice.
Uh, San Jose State was another very difficult time just because I had too many injuries.
Mm.
I had like 4 concussions in the 3 years I was there.
Dang.
It, yeah, it's a quick turnaround. I was literally out for like my first concussion. I was in Denver, Colorado. We were playing Air Force, and the ball just hit me right here. And I
Oh, it's
remember
from the
just,
ball. Just
yeah, just straight like boom. And I didn't pass out. I just fell to the ground, and I was like, damn it. And I knew something was wrong because I couldn't get up from the floor. And
mm.
of course, they carry me out, come back, and they're like, yeah, you have a concussion.
I don't know the exact numbers, but they how like do you know miles per hour how fast the ball's coming like off of a striker's foot? It's got to be like
It was a steady ball, so I was on the wall, so I assume it was anywhere from 70 to 80 miles an hour. Yeah,
straight to the face.
straight to the face, and it was just like boom. All right, going down. It
Okay.
was ridiculous. So that kind of like started the whole, unfortunately, the phases of my injuries. And then after that, it kind of went knees, and then it went ankles, and then it went back another concussion. It was kind of like simultaneously as well. So I was like, damn it. And it was a very, very difficult time for me because um, I, I was again, once again, go back to that, like, do I want to keep on playing soccer? And now, may I remind you that my whole life I dreamed about playing professional soccer,
Yeah.
just like any other kid that plays a
Of
sport,
course.
right?
Of
The
course.
majority of us. You played basketball, so you have an idea of what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
for sure.
Um, so then now I have to play with, well, I start doubting myself, like,
Of course.
and fortunately, I've always been the person who's like, all right, I get knocked down, I get back up. Like, just because I'm not meant to be down, right? Like,
Hmm.
it's not my nature. Um, and sure enough, the last season, I told my coach, "Hey, I want to play professional soccer. Like, what can we do?" And he said, "Just keep on training. Like after the season's over, just keep on training." So this was 2014, and in October, I started training. 2014 in October, and by January 2015, I got a tryout. And this was because, and I always tell people, just ask.
Hmm.
Prepare for the moment and ask. And that's what
That's
I
good.
did. I kept on bothering my coach every single week. Hey, do you got something for me? Do you got something for me? And finally, I'm sure he was like, damn it, this kid is not going to shut up. So I'm sure he made some calls or something, man. Because after the 2 months, and he would see that I was training, I was doing double days um, the whole off season. I was doing the gym in the morning, and then I would go right to the field after that. And what happened was in January, they were like, you got a tryout in Louisville, Kentucky. And at first I was like, oh, damn it. Like, Louisville, Kentucky, are you freaking kidding me? And that was a little bit of my ego just being
It's
like,
actually a cool town. I've been there before. It's actually
oh,
a
it's
cool
great,
town.
man. You've been there before?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How come you didn't hit me up when
Oh,
I was over
it
there?
was a long time ago, but yeah.
But yeah, that happened, man. And he was like, Louisville, Kentucky, get your ticket. And at the time, I didn't have much money either. because I used a lot of my FAFSA just to, eat out and just
Of
super
course.
financially irresponsible, right?
Of
Stupid
course.
college. Yeah, stupid college.
What's your, okay, let me ask you this. You're in San
Yeah,
Jose, and I've been more in San Jose in the last couple of years.
yeah.
What is some of your favorite restaurants near the campus? Like, where would you go to eat?
Dude, they had this. Do you remember on 10th Street? They had a pupuseria, Salvadorian place
Hmm.
right by Taco and the gas station. And then there's a supermarket, a little marqueta. And then, yeah, that pupuseria was bomb. And then in that same place, yes, my friend just commented, look, the bagel shop.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
remember the bagel shop?
I've heard of it. Yeah,
Dude, that was the
I like
spot.
the La Victoria, the La Vic's right there next to campus with the orange sauce.
Dude, you know what? I hated that place.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like it, and everyone hyped it up. And I do remember though, like when we got super drunk, of course that's where we would go.
Of course, yeah.
But even then, like I was like, I'm not. I'm just gonna eat it because everyone's here.
What
So
about your favorite Vietnamese place?
Vietnamese, I think it was just down the street, right before you got to Spartan Stadium. It's called Pho, something Pho. Yeah, Pho soup.
Nice. There's one good thing about being in the Bay Area is it's so diverse and so many good
Dude,
food options.
amazing, amazing
So
sushi.
you
We had a really good sushi spot,
so
and
you go from a very diverse city in San Jose, right? You're playing college ball, very
yeah,
diverse city, and then you go pro, but it's in like the Midwest. Talk about switching
it was
the
like,
difference in culture. What was it
dude,
like?
I'll tell you this. So I buy my ticket. I had to ask my dad for $800. That's how much my ticket was, two-way. And I was just talking with my friend yesterday, the interview that we did yesterday. I've always been that person that smells out the opportunity and just takes it.
Yeah,
Obviously I prepare as much as I can
yeah.
for the opportunity, which makes me even more self-sufficient and confident. And so I said, all right, I bought the ticket, $800, and got there. And I get there in sandals, bro, shorts, and just like, and it's freezing. It's like 40 degrees. And I'm like, what in the
You're
world?
like, oh, this isn't Santa Cruz?
No, exactly. And I was like, damn it, like that was literally my first thought. And so I remind you, $800. The reason I say $800 and I stress how much it cost me because of course, at the time I didn't have money, but it was an opportunity, right? It was probably going
Right.
to be my only opportunity, to be honest with you, because the month before that, I went to Ventura to like college tryouts where there's a bunch of like scouts
Pro
or
Scouts, yeah.
Girl Scouts, but that was a waste of time and everything. Well, I wouldn't say a waste of time, but it was just not what it was meant to be, right?
Right.
And so I bought that ticket, and I had a layover in Colorado for 8 hours. So it was like the shittiest ticket ever, but it was the cheapest one, $800. Or otherwise, I was gonna have to pay like 1,300 plus plus my hotel for 3 days, which was gonna be like another $600. And I was like, dude, like I don't know how I'm gonna do this. So thankfully, like I said, my dad let me borrow the money, $800. And what I did was I couch surf. Have you heard of couch surf before?
Yeah.
I couch surf. I found these two guys, super nice guys. Jeremy Soldo and Kate Caldro. If they're watching this,
That's
dude,
awesome. That's awesome.
they like took me in. They let me borrow literally their couch. They're the nicest guys ever. They took me to training college students at U of L, University of Louisville.
That's awesome.
So big props to them. And I get there. I do the 3 days, the tryouts. And it was really strange, Jordan, because it just clicked since I got there. There was, I believe, 100 people trying out, and I remember like since the very get-go seeing players, and I once again I start doubting myself, even though I was really prepared. I was like, damn, dude, like these guys are really freaking good. And here I am, and I'm like, well, I'm already here. I prepared for this, so I just started playing my game, and sure enough, the second day we start scrimmaging, and one of the coaches, the assistant coach, comes over to me, and he's like, "Hey man, like you gotta, play more." And I was the only one that he said that to,
Mm.
'cause I was looking at everything, and I was like, "Why is he only talking to me?" You know?
Yeah, I think it's part of it is the fault of social media. I think a lot of entrepreneurs or athletes, young athletes, feel like they have to be the next best thing, or that they have to be pretend like they've already made it before they have, and they're not willing to talk about that journey that you were couch surfing, that you went out there with no money, um, and you just took a chance. A lot of people, either they're too afraid to do anything, so they never go anywhere, they never do anything,
Yeah.
or they they just pretend, and they fake it till they make it, and they pretend like they're already successful, and they're driving a car that isn't theirs, or they're living
Yeah.
this life that they're not living. It's like, don't be afraid to show your journey. Don't be afraid. Like, it's more
Yeah.
inspiring to hear that you got where you got, but to know that along the way, I'm sure there was days where, you were worried about where you were going to get your food from. And then part of you probably, because I've been the same, I moved to Canada right after high school for a couple of years.
Uh-huh.
I didn't end up playing sports, but I was out there, and I know what it's like to leave home and be like, dang, I don't know, where food's going to come, or
Yeah.
where my friends are going to be, or you're alone on the holidays or whatever it is, and you're in a
Yeah.
weird town, people that speak English but in a different way, and it's cold, and like, I can totally relate. And the other thing is, then you don't want to come home, because of course when you come home, everyone's like, wow, you're such a big
Dude.
shot, you made it, like, and you're thinking in your head like, well, if you guys only knew what I really had to go through to get where I'm at.
And we'll touch base on that, because that's all those points that you mentioned are such a big
Yeah.
thing. And I just saw one of my friends come in here, Roberto. You might know him. He's from Watsonville, and we were just talking about this yesterday. And another thing that is great is just having people around you that you can talk about these things, right?
Yeah.
Like yourself right now. It's kind of like you know, you let it out, right? So that you kind of reset. And like you said, in Canada, I'm pretty sure you were like, what in the world am I doing, right?
Yeah.
And exactly the same, man. I sometimes well, not sometimes, when I got to Louisville and I was doing the tryout, may I remind you, like, I didn't have much money with me.
Right.
Just I was still in college, and I was dumb financially. So I remember, getting there the first day, and once again, the guys were so nice. They asked if I wanted to go eat, and they bought me a sandwich, right, from a Subway place. And in my mind, I'm like, damn, man, this is insane. Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And I remember going to sleep hungry, because I didn't want to, I was kind of seeing how much money I had, right? And that's insane, because now I see everything that happened after that chance that I took.
Yep.
And oh my gosh, man, like, it is, I mean, I can't honestly put it into words, because people wouldn't necessarily understand, because I lived it. And it's
Well,
really difficult.
a lot of people now, they see you like, oh, hometown hero. You played on those championship teams. You went off to college, then you went off to play pro, and of course, we want to hear more about the pro side as well. But
Mm-hmm.
then you come back home, and it's like, yeah, but you don't know what it takes to get that journey, right? The hours alone doing drills, being there early, staying there late, tournaments when. Let's say you drove for hours, and then you get your butt kicked, and you're still going to drive back home a couple
Yeah.
hours, like those kind of tournaments that anybody who's played sports knows about.
Yeah, and I just want to touch base right now,
Yeah.
Jordan, because I was just talking to my friend Christian Diaz. He was just on with me 3 days ago. He's
Oh,
from
nice.
Mexico as well.
Awesome.
So it's great that everyone around
Yeah.
is kind of get on the same boat. And he was just saying how, when he got back from college, he was a big prospect too, man. He was played at Watsonville. We beat them actually at the final for CCS in high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we always go
Yeah,
back
it's been a
and forth.
battle. It's been a battle. It's a
Yeah.
proper rivalry.
Exactly. And so he was talking to me about, how when he got back from from college, basically, feeling defeated, which
Yeah.
is really stupid for us to feel, because, we went out of our ways to try and accomplish something,
Yeah.
given it didn't happen. And instead of coming back with our heads high, a lot of the times we were just like this, like, fuck, I'm going back to Salinas or Watsonville. And
Yeah.
it's stupid. It's a really stupid mentality to have, because listen, right now, like you said, I do have a car, but I'm back in my parents' home, and you're gonna, and everyone, I swear, maybe 90% of the people who watch this or who would watch this would be like, this guy's 26 years old living with his parents again. And I'm just like, yeah, but you don't know, like, what
Yeah.
I'm up to,
As
And
opposed to what? Like getting you probably could get a place, and then
absolutely,
all your money's going towards that for what? Like,
absolutely,
and I think it's more of an American thing. I think cultures that come from other parts of the world, whether it's Latin America or Asia, are already used to having multiple generations in the home. And there's nothing wrong with going and getting your own place and starting your own life if you can make that happen, right?
Correct.
But so many people end up going into debt that they can't afford to get a degree that they're not going to use, and then they get in more debt to buy things to impress people they don't even like, whether it's a car or a house. And there's all this shame and there's all this guilt for what? Like for me right now, like I mean, I rent a room, but I have a car that's like old and beat up. But you know what? It's paid for. Insurance is cheap. And when everything just went down, I'm like, I'm super grateful that my bills are low right now. Other people who have super nice cars and big payments, or at least a really big apartment that they can't afford, they're stressing right now, you know?
Dude,
So we just need to make that cool. We need to make, like, keep it real. And
yeah,
if you get to the point where you are more successful, great. But don't be afraid to go back to your roots and start over. I think that's what a lot of people misunderstand is they think, oh, once you make it, that's it. You've made it. No, sometimes you make it, you fall, you make it again. Like it's a journey, you know?
it's difficult, man. It's really difficult, and it really screwed with me for a long time because mentally and my ego was just fucking like, damn it, like you're a
Of
loser, right?
course.
And that's something that was really difficult to overcome and just say like, screw this. Like because for a long time I just did things for other people to like me.
Of course.
And I'll touch on this when I was playing professional. And it was a cycle, a vicious cycle, and it wasn't good for me. And now, listen, I'm back home. I'm more grounded than ever, and I'm planning to play again in the second
Awesome.
division here, and it's just a whole different perspective.
That's exciting.
Super excited. Yeah, it's super exciting because it's like I was telling my friend, it's just another mindset, you know. Um, and for me to be able to recognize that, it takes a lot because once again, I'm fighting with my ego. I'm
Of
fighting with
course.
people saying, and this kid, blah blah
But do
blah.
you know how rare it is to play at the next level, to play competitively? First of all, to make a varsity team. First of all, not everybody does that. Second of all, especially not as a freshman. And then to play for a league title, let alone a CCS title or a state title, right? To me, especially in soccer or basketball or football, if you play ball at the next level, I don't care if it's junior college or if it's Division One, playing at the next level is playing at the next level, right? Because there's people in junior college that have D1 talent, they just didn't have the grades or for whatever reason. So, in my opinion, if you play any sport at the next level, that's an accomplishment in of
Yeah,
itself. And then if you can take that into pro or semi-pro, like mad respect. The chances of making it to the big leagues in any sport are very, very, very,
yeah.
um, very, very difficult. And it's funny because in our culture, we're all about like, oh, work hard to make it to the pros. I mean, let's be honest, 99% of the kids in travel ball are not going to make it pro.
Yeah, some pretty crazy statistics actually. Just coming out of college, I think it's like maybe 7% of them go professional for almost every sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
of course,
it's a business, and I don't know soccer as well, but I know it's the same concept with travel ball. And
yeah.
the thing is, you're still young. I'm sure you feel old and beat up at 26, but it's because you've been playing for 20 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've been playing high level for at least 10 years, and that takes a toll on your body, whatever sport it is. So, yeah, to me, you've already succeeded. It sounds like you have some more in the tank, which is exciting. I think
Yeah.
play until you can't play anymore. That's what I tell. I
Yeah.
feel bad for the class of 2020 because I coached a lot of them in track and in basketball. I would
Uh-huh.
always tell them, hey, man, enjoy this time. You're never going to get this time back. You're never going
Yeah.
to get this time with your friends where you're just the worst thing you have to worry about is a test. And, Um, but that's awesome that you're going to play again. So when you went from Kentucky, then you wound up in Oklahoma?
Sacramento, I actually came back home.
Oh, okay, Sacramento.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk about
But
that.
I'll talk about, yeah, just my first time in Louisville, Kentucky. So I was there. So basically, when I went to the tryout, I came back home to San Jose State. I was on my last semester at San Jose State. And literally the next day, the coach called me. He's like, we're signing you. If you like, come back in a week. I was like,
That's
a week?
awesome.
So I go to school and I tell them this is what's going to happen. This is what I'm planning to do. And at the time, I just had one class, hybrid class, and it was my senior seminar class. So the teacher was super cool. She was like, dude, just finish online and you'll get a C and you'll get your degree in May. And I was like, all right.
Cool.
Out. Like you don't have to tell me twice.
Nice, nice, nice.
I wanted to get out as soon as possible, anyways.
Hmm.
And so I did. I grabbed my stuff and I told my parents, like, listen, I'm heading to Kentucky. And of course, my mom was like, what? Like, no. And then it was really difficult, man, because it was the
Yeah,
first time ever for me leaving home, really.
yeah.
And so once again, I get to Kentucky. It's cold. There's a picture somewhere in my Instagram the next day where we went to do physicals, and I'm still wearing shorts, like 3 jackets and a beanie and gloves. I'm like, dude, like you're an idiot.
Yeah, Californians do not know how to dress for the cold, but
It
no,
was, yeah, it was bad. And so my first year was really good, man. I didn't play the first 4 games, and then after that, our left back, got injured, and I replaced him, and I just ended up playing so good for the next 16 games straight. And I was just on it, right? And then all of a sudden we got to because we made it all the way to the final, to the Eastern Conference final. And we got to the quarterfinals. I didn't play a single minute. Got to the semifinals, played 5 minutes, and got to the final. I played 5 minutes. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, like what the hell is going on? And then once again, it's like, all right, I start doubting myself and start kind of like, damn it, I did so good. And now I'm like back to where I started, right? It was just a very stupid mentality of my part. I was just so worried the whole time instead of
Mm,
enjoying what I was doing. And so that really dragged me down because then my second season, the same thing, right? I played the first 5 games and then got benched and
mm.
just didn't play again the next 30 games.
It's so funny. Now I'm proud that more and more we're talking about mental health, and
Mm.
um, a lot of times when people talk about mental health, they're thinking of someone sad and depressed at home and
Weak minded.
not doing anything, right? When in reality, a lot of these issues happen on the sports field or on the basketball court or in the classroom, right? Like
Mhm.
you have a teacher that says is demeaning, or I don't know, it sounds like your parents are awesome, but some people, like in my case, I didn't have the best relationship with my dad, and it was so much anxiety around sports. On one hand, he taught me and got me started, but on the other hand, I could never quite perform because I was always stressed about coaches yelling at me or people,
Yeah.
and so even though I love sports and I was a good athlete, I just, like you said, mentally I just would get down on myself. I would, like, and I don't think people talk about that enough, how we glorify this whole mentality, this lifestyle and success on the field or on the court, but sometimes people really don't recover from some of the mental issues that happen, whether it's a big loss or whether it's being yelled at by their coach or their parents, or maybe not reaching their goals and feeling just like a disappointment, and then they take
Yeah.
that with them for the rest of their life. So
Yeah.
I'm just hoping by having these kind of conversations, more people can realize, like, hey, you know what, like at the end of the day, it's just a game and you can learn a lot from it, but don't attach your identity to it, right?
I, Absolutely, Jordan, and you just hit it in the nail because going back to what you were saying, like, well, you're saying I was successful because the reason I feel successful now, Jordan, is because I was able to, one, like, be able to follow my dreams, and two, use the sport to come out with great values that I'll keep with me forever.
That's awesome.
And that's for me the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway. And now that I'm back here, Watsonville, this area has such
Yeah.
great talent,
Yeah.
but unfortunately they don't have the support, they don't have the mindset. And so then you have them, either going to jail or just like
Yeah.
living
Yeah.
regular mediocre lives when they
Right.
had the potential to be greater. Like this, I always say this, like
Yeah.
we're all born to be great, and I mean this, truly mean this, but at
Yeah.
one point we just give in, right? We say,
Right.
screw it, I'm just gonna live. And listen, I'm not saying like it's not okay to be a janitor. I'm sure, a lot of people enjoy their jobs and whatever they do,
Yeah.
but like I said, you're meant to be great, so why not try to be great, right?
Right.
And so for me now, it's not as much as achieving like championships or this or that. That's great, that's part of it,
Right.
and it was when I was playing, but a lot of it has to do with like, am I getting better? Am I helping other people while I'm doing this?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. It's just very different now.
Well, you have an opportunity, and you've already done a lot for the community, and I know you're going to continue to do more, even if you move away again and go pro. And if you come back home, you're always going to be connected. I know you helped campaign for the new Salinas soccer field that's going to be coming here
Yeah.
within the next couple of years. I know you're a big part of that, which is awesome. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, man, that's, growing up, playing up in beat up soccer fields. It's so awesome to see that the kids will have that. And, I do want to integrate a whole mentorship thing into it, where we're going to have some, I think, eventually some classrooms in the
Yeah.
premise
Hmm.
and Constitution.
Yep.
So, I have, yeah, for parents and students, right? I mean, parents and players, mental health, help, parenting 101, whatever it is, man,
Yeah.
because it all starts from the moment you plant the seed, right?
Well, I think parents right now, because of this pandemic, are realizing how valuable teachers and coaches are and how much of an
Yeah.
investment they make in their kids. And now they're seeing like, oh man, it's maybe not
Yeah.
easy to be a coach or easy to be a
They,
teacher or easy to deal with these kids all day, every day.
well, because they're probably now like, damn, they have to deal with my kid for 8 hours.
Yeah, whose kids are these? Oh, wait, they're mine.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
But absolutely, that's exciting for us here, in the whole area. It's going to bring more business to Salinas and Watsonville, Santa Cruz, everywhere, right? 'Cause
Absolutely.
this, it's going to be a great, great
Well,
addition.
I talked to Nick Cunningham last week. I don't know if you know Nick, but he's from Monterey High, was an awesome sprinter, football player, ended up as an
Uh-huh.
Olympian on the bobsled team for the U.S. Olympic team. He's from Monterey. So
Okay.
there's so many Olympians, college athletes, professional athletes that have come from Central Coast.
Yeah.
And I feel like they don't get enough recognition or enough support locally, right? So I want to start something and there's already some things going on, but I think, having these kind of conversations with different athletes, and I also talked to Coach Art Berlanga a couple weeks ago, and just basically an association for both guys and girls of former athletes, of current student athletes, of just helping people with that mentorship of like explaining, hey, this is what to expect, this is how to get a scholarship, don't listen to these type of scouts, like you don't want to go to this part of the country, this school is better, like whatever,
Yeah.
this is how you budget, this is how you meal plan. This is
Perfect.
how, and then when they come back, like some of these folks made some money in their career and then they didn't know what to do with it, right? So this is how you invest, this is how you save, this is how you get ready to buy a home or whatever it is. And I think if more people have an exciting thing to come back to and plug into, and that the project that you guys started is going to be awesome, because now former players are going to want to come back and teach and coach, and we can do clinics and we can do big events. So, it's awesome. But I definitely want to see more unity and collaboration in the
Yeah,
831 with
man.
former athletes.
That's I feel that totally 100%, because even though I had great people around me growing up, I did miss that mentorship piece where someone could have told me, listen, like, don't go out and party every single weekend just because you're a professional player. And I'm probably someone says thinking, well, you should realize that you shouldn't have been doing that,
Yeah.
but you don't, man. Like, you're just caught in the
21-year-olds don't
moment.
realize a lot, right?
Exactly. And so it makes it really difficult, man. And,
Yeah.
and Jordan, now that I'm back here, I've said it a few times, like, I, I, I can help you. If you want to play professional soccer, second division, I'm your guy locally.
Yeah.
If you want to play first division, talk to David Estrada, because he played 3 years in Seattle Sounders.
That's awesome.
Don't come to me and ask me how to get to Seattle Sounders, because I'll be honest, I'll take on the challenge. I've said it before, but I don't know, man. Like, it's different. It's very different. Don't come and ask me how to play professional in Italy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know what I know because
Right.
I've been through it, right?
Right.
Now,
Right.
like I said, can I figure it out? Can we get you in there? Absolutely.
Right.
But, be specific when you find a mentor.
Yeah.
Ask the right questions. What happened with me when I was struggling financially, I looked for a financial advisor, a mentor who was good with his money, which meant he was wealthy.
Followed his own advice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, that helped me. Now
Awesome.
I want to gain more spirituality mentorship. So I'm
Awesome.
seeking those type of mentors, right? So that's a big thing for me now being here is mentorship, man, and just,
Awesome.
helping out people. But you know what? A lot of people just don't ask, and
So
to a certain
how
extent,
how have you,
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
for sure. How have you, I love what you just said, but how have you been affected by what's going on right now? Like, how is it affecting you and your family? And kind of what are you seeing in your world as far as work and travel? Obviously, a lot of things are put on hold, but how have you been impacted by the pandemic?
You know what, Jordan? Not much, man, because I'll be honest, the first 3 days were kind of like uncertain for me, just like with a lot of people.
Mhm.
And I did feel a little bit stressed because no one knew what the hell was going to happen.
Right.
But, I thankfully, I've been pretty aware to the point where I've been able to work on myself for such a long time now that when this happened, I was like 3 days stressed and then I was like back to normal.
Good.
Like we can call my normal homeostasis. Yeah. And it was all because every single day, man, like I try to do something that's going to be challenging and cause some type of discomfort.
Mm,
Because when things like what's happening right now happens, I'm not take cold showers every morning, and it sucks every freaking morning. But I
right.
do it as a reminder that any given day something can really suck, like happened March 14th or whenever this everything went down.
Yeah,
And it's just a daily reminder, like just be ready for whatever. Be ready. Be ready.
that's awesome.
And just adapt, man. Adapt with, like they say, roll with the punches. I mean, what am I gonna do? Just go to my room and cry and wait until everything goes through? Like, kind of stupid, right?
No, it's a good mentality to have. And how did you end up getting into media? So I don't know if you heard, but we officially moved the Tequila Expo to March, just to make
Oh,
sure that
okay.
everything worked out. Because literally everything that got canceled in spring and summer moved to the fall. So we were going to be
Yeah.
competing with like Cali Roots and the rodeo, and we just wanted to make sure that everyone was safe. So we Crystal today she announced that she moved it to, I believe, March 13th, 2021. So we've been
Perfect.
grateful to have you involved in that, and from a media perspective and just a cultural ambassador. So just talk about how did you get into media, and what are some projects you're working on?
Yeah, man. So I love photography. I got into videography just because someone said like if you do photo, you probably should do video. I mean, just
Hmm.
everything is changing so fast now that if you're not taking photos, video, editing yourself, you're pretty much, at least in our field, right? You're behind. Like you just
Yeah.
have to know what to do. And I was just talking to my friend once again yesterday, and I said, listen, if you only have three skills that can potentially make you income nowadays, you're probably behind. You're
Mm.
okay for now,
Yeah.
but in the future, you're going to be left behind. So you have to have minimum five skills that can make you income. So, for example, right now, I was a substitute teacher that shut down, and now I'm doing photography and video for my friend's solar company.